Hi guys. Okay, this is going to be a very important training for you if you are a girl who wants to be pregnant really quickly. I guarantee that there are things that we're going to talk about today that are coming into your system, your body, that are making it harder than you ever thought of for your body to do this thing that gets to be really a natural extension of your health, which is to have fertility and to get pregnant when you want to get pregnant instead of on someone else's terms, or maybe you think that you can't even do it sometimes. So we're not going to think like that, because the most important thing for you to understand is that your body is a reflection of you. Your body is showing you the level of health that you have internally, even though you cannot see a lot of the things that happen inside. So before I jump into the food list of every single thing that I changed, that I stopped putting into my body so that I could heal my fertility after going through IVF 4 times over the span of 8 years, not getting pregnant, having no successful pregnancies using medical intervention other than, if you know my story, Dalton is my 8-year-old, and he was our frozen embryo from our very, very one and only stimulation cycle. He was frozen for 4 years, and my sister carried him. And then fast forward, when I figured out how to help my body heal, I got pregnant naturally at 39 years old with Dash and had him at 40. Dash is now 5. So Dalton is 8, Dash is 5. And I'm going to go into the foods that I realized were slowing down what my body was always trying to do for me, always trying to allow for me to be able to get pregnant naturally. I just didn't know how it all fit together and how it worked. So before we talk about this, you have to understand this core concept, okay? You may have heard me say something already that would lead you to understand this, but I just want to lay it out really clearly. And that is, your level of current fertility is a direct reflection of what your health is allowing. Fertility is health. Health, you can have different levels of health, different outcomes of health, but for a woman that was like me, who perceived herself to be healthy, wanted to do anything that I could to help my body, especially naturally, although I did IVF because I thought it was the only thing we could do, because I didn't know this. And you guys, all I want for everyone to know is that you are in complete control over your health. Your health follows what you give it. And one of the core foundations of us creating health is understanding food, because the body is already always set up to work. And this means that the way that all of your organs communicate and how the natural functions of your body happen every single day is they're wired to the natural default state of I am healthy. But it's when we don't understand this process, and we've been raised in different environments, different cultures, different ways of viewing food, seeing food, thinking about health. All of these things are influences, okay? And we don't understand how the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, the things we choose to consume on a day-to-day basis, are either allowing that natural process of health to happen, where if it were to happen naturally and organically, we would be fertile, okay? But because we don't understand these things, and because a lot of things in our food system and in our culture and our world are maybe not blatantly telling you how powerful you are and what to do to have natural, holistic health, we get confused, or we just don't know the answers, and we don't even know our potential. And so the way that this works is, when you understand that health is a system that you are operating with food as your number one tool, then you will see the power in what I'm about to teach you. Because if fertility is a direct reflection of the organ's health, all of your systems working together and communicating, which it is, that means that every single thing you eat has huge power. Huge power, because it's either helping everything work better and more naturally and efficiently, or it's slowing it down. Okay, it's really cut and dry in this regard. And so if you're a person that just wants to eat balanced or think all foods are neutral and equal, this isn't going to be that. This isn't going to be that. In order for food to be medicine, even better than medicine, because medicine, like pharmaceuticals, have negative consequences built into them because they're synthetic. This is pure. This is from the earth. This is of nature, of God, natural. So in order for this to work, this means that we have to see that certain things create certain outcomes in our system, in our body. And so everything is not equal. Everything is for sure not equal. And some things are way more powerful to create health, and some things do not create health. It's just the way that it is, okay? And so once I could understand this, I could see that what I was already giving my body was like blocking my body from being able to accelerate a healing process to allow fertility. So let me see if I can explain this. So there's a spectrum here. So this is health. Let's say it's backwards. Fertility is here. Infertility is here, or like easy to get pregnant, really hard to get pregnant. Your health is going to land somewhere in the middle of this. I don't know what you're dealing with right now unless I speak with you, but let's just say you're closer to things haven't been working. And if you want things to work just fluently, effortlessly, you want to be able to get pregnant the next month that you want to, then we have to move out of the state of lack of health, which means right now there are things in your current lifestyle and diet and things that are already in your system that need to stop being in there, okay? So that you can let go of infertility or a lack of natural fertility, and you just take this stuff out, and it's like a balloon would naturally float up if you let go of it. It's what's holding on. It's the problem, okay? And so the way that I healed my fertility was I helped my body remove what was in the way. And half of the equation is stopping putting in the things that either make it hard or disallow the removal of what needs to be removed. Just as important as what to eat, okay? So just in this training, we're just going to talk about what to remove from your diet, what to remove from your lifestyle for the direct, on purpose intention to increase fertility, to become fertile internally. I'm a huge fan of eating on purpose. I say this to my clients. We need to know, what is your goal? So if I have a client that wants to lose 15 pounds, that's different than I want to get pregnant tomorrow. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you want the fast track, and that's why I'm going to give you this list, and then I'm going to tell you what to do with it. You may be consuming a few of these things. You may be consuming a lot of these things. And depending on your current lifestyle diet, this will be simple or a little more intensive of a process for you. We'll talk about ways to work on this after I go through the list and I explain to you where these things could be in different foods, in different common things you're consuming in the food system, so that you have a better awareness of not just like this one word, because one ingredient could be showing up in many products and many foods. And so I want you to make sure that you're completely clearing what needs to be cleared so that you can have the fastest potential to improve your internal health and fertility so that you can get pregnant as soon as you want, okay? All right, now the first one, I wrote wheat/gluten. They're not the same thing, and it is important to understand the differences. Again, the reason that these ingredients are going to matter is because they are going to disallow natural healing, or they're going to slow down the process of what your body is already trying to do, or they're just containing ingredients that are not meant to be in our system. Wheat. Wheat is out because wheat is a gluten-containing grain. So we want to be avoiding gluten when you want to be fertile and getting pregnant, not because you have celiac, because you probably don't. I did not. And I didn't even have I didn't have a known reaction or response if I ate something that had gluten. And I was eating gluten all the time. I was eating wheat thins all the time. I was eating toast and bread and cereals and, Raisin Bran and stuff like this. So I didn't have like massive bloating or anything. Now, sometimes these things will develop later in life because health, again, is an accumulation and it's a tipping point. It matters because of the gluten will trigger an inflammatory response. One of the key things that you may have heard me talk about if you follow me online is that we have to stop consuming foods that would trigger an immune response. And so our immune system fights for us when we are under the weather, such as we get a cold, we have the flu, we have a sinus infection. These things are rooted in viruses and bacteria, okay? So you can easily kind of recognize that those things are viral, bacterial, they are like short-term sicknesses that we often deal with. But it's not so common to think about women's health conditions, including infertility, including hypothyroidism, including PCOS, endometriosis, digestive issues, also having the same root, but they just are chronic instead of a short-term thing. They're lingering, okay? They have been lingering, and it's easy to see why they could be lingering when we understand that these organisms want certain things in order to survive, and they want to be fed. And so this list matters because these things want to be fed these ingredients if they're not a chemical or some other ingredient, which I'll explain when we get to them, that will impact your health in a different way. But it's going to trigger your immune system to fight because you're feeding something that it will have to fight. So this is so important to understand, okay? And this goes for more than just gluten. But so when you consume a food that contains gluten, that's why it matters, because you're creating a more potential of a problem for your immune system. And again, this doesn't mean when you eat these foods, you have like an immediate pain or hives or a rash or something like that. You might, but you probably are not going to notice it, okay? Which makes it tricky, which is why I'm doing this training. Because I wrote down gluten, wheat is one grain that gluten is naturally found in, but it's also found in barley and it's also found in rye. So that means if you're having rye bread, if you're having vegetable barley soup, if you're having a beer, barley, if you're having pasta, wheat, unless it's specifically made of gluten-free ingredients, then gluten, okay? Lots of breads are made of wheat, pastas, cookies, cupcakes, bakery items, donuts, okay? So again, now you're going to need to listen to the whole list. It doesn't mean just go buy everything gluten-free, because there could be other ingredients that will still negate fertility. But this is one to start with that is very important to understand. And there's another reason that these things are problematic, and I'll get to that at the end, and I'll then go over which ones specifically matter in that regard as well. And this is more of a chemical issue and a gene influencing issue beyond just triggering your immune system. So there's lots of things going on with every choice you make with your food. Next, we have dairy. You may have heard me say this before. Humans are not intended to consume dairy products, cow's milk, products from cows. We are not baby cows, therefore we do not drink cow's milk. I grew up drinking cow's milk, okay? My grandparents were farmers. They had cows. We would go see them. They had a milk house. My cousins would drink the milk straight out of the cow, like bring it down the hill and have it at supper time. Supper, because you call it supper if you're on the farm instead of dinner. But my mom and dad, when we would drive to the farm for the weekend, we would stop at the gas station and buy 2% cow's milk because it was pasteurized differently. It tasted differently to my sisters and I, and that's what we drank. And I drank this my entire life. School lunches, even if I brought my lunch, we would have milk, 2% skim, chocolate milk. When I got older and I was like more interested in health, fitness, weight loss, then I switched to skim milk. But it was my acupuncturist that I went to see because I wasn't getting pregnant who told me I should not be consuming dairy. And this was from a Chinese medicine perspective. Little did I know all of this other stuff was happening at the same time, but I'm so grateful for her for telling me that. And so the minute she told me, you better believe I stopped drinking dairy completely that very day, and I started drinking almond milk because it was the only kind of plant-based thing back in the day, which is fine, you know? So a dairy-free product, not dairy. So this means cheese, cottage cheese, cow's milk, sour cream, cream cheese. Did I say that? Ice creams that are made from cows. Anything from cow's milk, and ideally any kind of milk product while you're in the process of wanting to get pregnant quickly should be removed. Okay. The only exception that you might have a little bit here and there, like if you go out to eat, would be feta. Feta is typically from a goat or sheep, and goat's milk products digest better in humans and differently. And I know this from all of my clients that I work with when I was working as a dietitian and doing food sensitivity testing. It's the way that it is digested is different, and I don't know to the extent that it would feed an organism versus cow's milk, but cow's milk products are complete out. If you're drinking any kind of milk, it's out. Any kind of ice cream, it's out. Any, I cannot stress this enough. Please stop eating the cheese. You'll be fine. Okay, you are going to fast track any and all health outcomes when you remove these first two that I've mentioned. You might have already done this. You might be still letting it linger. Oh, yogurt is the other big one that women are consuming a lot. Greek yogurt is from a cow, so that's a no. I don't care how much protein is in it. It's irrelevant to health. It's irrelevant to fertility. Okay, I just had to pull that out because it's one I have to go over all the time with women. Number 3 was one that I was still consuming when, even though I had, started learning a ton of more information about holistic and natural healing, I didn't know this one. And it's eggs. So eggs, again, will feed those organisms. And so they're a big problem. They're a huge problem for fertility. They're a huge problem for PCOS. They're a huge problem for thyroid issues, endometriosis. So I was consuming eggs, not every day, because I'm not a huge, heavy breakfast person. But I would make eggs and put vegetables in them and spinach. I think I was eating so clean and so healthy because it was high protein, low carb. But the whole time, it was keeping my body locked in a fight state. It was triggering my immune system every single time. And remember what I said, you have to be able to get ahead of the current level of health that you have, which means you have to stop stopping it. So these foods are stopping that. I would eat real eggs or egg whites, and then I would eat products that contained eggs. So if you're baking bread, if you're having cookies or muffins or pancakes or things like that, no eggs, because eggs are slowing down fertility. It doesn't matter if they are organic. It doesn't matter if they're cage-free. If it is an egg from a chicken, it's on this list. Next is soy, and I want to pull out a few aspects about soy. Soy is problematic because of what it will feed, and it will also relate to the point that I'm going to make at the end about genetics. And I want you guys to make sure, if you heard me talk about dairy and you're like, okay, I'll go switch to plant-based this or that, plant-based milk, plant-based yogurt, plant-based cheeses, great. Also, make sure your plant-based products are not made of soy. They do not contain soy. They're not the core ingredient from soy or any soy, any. So that's a place that they could be, that this ingredient could be that you would be consuming it, or it might be edamame, it might be tofu, it might be tempeh, it might be soy sauce, it might be a Chinese Asian restaurant having some kind of soy. Okay. Also, packaged food. Oh, so many packaged foods contain soy and soy lecithin, which is a binder. Same. No. Okay. No soy. Pork. This is really interesting because like I said, worked a lot with digestive clients, digestive issues, people with really bad gut health, pain, and so on. And I would have clients that have seen what would go to many practitioners before they would come to me, and even other practitioners in town would send people to me because they couldn't figure out what was going on, and somehow I could always help them. And it's because I could understand ingredients. So pork, when you consume an animal, you're consuming what the animal consumes and what the animal is. Pork doesn't have a great diet. So I'm talking about like ham and bacon and these kind of things. I had this client one time and she had already gone to some naturopath in Kansas. So I'm in Iowa, and she had gone all around trying to solve these problems. And he was like, "Oh, you're from Iowa." And that he's like, "Oh, you're from Iowa. Well, I can see why you're having some of these symptoms, because people eat a lot of pork around here." I know bacon is like popular in like even high-end restaurants and different formats and recipes, but like there's a lot of pigs around here. I have family members that are hog farmers. So like this was really hard for me to understand for a long time, because it's like the livelihood of my ancestry was like hurting health. And it wasn't that I was eating a lot. I wasn't even probably eating any pork at the time that I was trying to get pregnant, but I did for a lot of my life because it was just what was served at dinners and such. And what the animals eat is not great. And so you're consuming that. And so a lot of times what this naturopath was seeing was clients and patients coming in that had parasites because of like the garbage and the environment that the animal lived in, and therefore you take in. Okay, so pork is on this list. The next one is my other big major aha besides eggs, and it's corn. So, hi, I'm Jody. I'm from Iowa, the corn state, and I was eating a lot of popcorn because it was low calorie, skinny pop specifically, okay? And I still love popcorn, but I barely eat it anymore because of just understanding what happens when. Like I said, you have to see that when you want a natural transformation that is this powerful, food is medicine. It's better than medicine, because when I eat this, then this happens inside of my body, and you're starting to piece together how it's all connected. It's a system. And so your food is feeding the ability of this system every single day with your choices. And because I was consuming a lot of this, it was really holding back my potential fertility. And it wasn't like I was eating tons of corn on the cob, although I did that for many, 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 many years of my life too. We would husk the corn in the back of my grandparents' pickup trucks when they would bring it in from the field. We would freeze it. We'd freeze our fingers, putting it in the ice bowls and then putting it in the freezer bags and then freezing it so we could have fresh corn from the fields, like at all of our holiday meals and family gatherings. So again, this was like really hard for me to get that these foods that I grew up with were holding back health. And now you probably see that I eat a really high plant-focused diet. And that's because once you see how it all fits together, you're going to really lean towards the foods that make it easy for your body to come to life, to have fertility, to have all kinds of health, and to feel good all the time. Okay, so corn in any form. I want you guys to look at your grain-based ingredients and make sure that if it's gluten-free, it's not filled with corn instead. This is very common when you look at pasta. So you can look at a gluten-free pasta. Quinoa pasta, for example, is very often combined with corn, and it is gluten-free. It doesn't contain gluten, but the corn is the problem in that case. So it's very important that you know how every ingredient works. So just read your labels so you're not having corn on the cob, corn on the kernels of any kind, corn in salads, popcorn, corn syrup, corn-based ingredients of any kind. That all matters. That all matters. The next one is farmed fish. This is again because of the environment that the fish is raised in and what they're fed and what they consume. So if you have any seafood or any fish, you want it to be wild caught. Okay, wild caught. Next, dyes. This is a really big subject with children. There are direct relations between food dyes and brain activity, between consuming food dyes and hyperactivity levels in children and adults. Many adults now are dealing with things like ADHD, ADD, and it really affects your brain because it's a chemical. So I'm talking about red dye number 40, the yellow dyes, the blue dyes, the green dyes, anything that's colored, anything that's packaged, even ketchup and mustard have dyes in them. So read the labels of your mustard, read the labels of your ketchup, read the labels of any kind of snack food, packaged food that you consume, especially if it's like a frosting or something. Those are going to be massively hindering your system differently than dairy and gluten and corn and eggs. It's not that it's triggering the immune system that way. It's that it's a chemical. And so lowering down your level of toxins that you're consuming consistently is massively important. And it's the first step. So those are the two big ways that these foods are influencing you negatively if you're consuming them. Next is MSG. So MSG is a neurotoxin. We don't want to do that, okay? We need our brain to direct activity. It tells everything what to do. It's helping our system communicate better. MSG is often found in restaurants, in packaged food, in soy sauce. You want to check Asian food, Chinese food, processed meats, chips, snacks, salad dressings. Again, this is why learning this is a complete lifestyle. It's a complete way of seeing things. It's a complete way of seeing food, creating and impacting your health. Natural flavors. Again, mostly in packaged food, but also in things like LaCroix. Different carbonated beverages have natural flavors. There are some products where the label will specifically say organic natural orange flavor, for example. That is okay. That's different because it has the organic certification and it's a safer choice. But if it just says natural flavors, then it's a no. Okay? And remember, this is for the purpose of fast tracking your fertility, fast tracking the flow of health. And that means when you want something to move more quickly, you're going all in, so there's nothing negating the process. That's why you can accelerate it, because you stop slowing it down. Canola oil and seed oils. These are inflammatory oils. Besides that, consuming oil is really not purposeful for health. It's fat. It's heavy. And yes, we use it for cooking and flavor enhancers and things like this. But in order to create health, you do not want to be consuming much oil, if any at all. Anything like sunflower, safflower, canola, all of the seed oils you want out. And they're going to be either in a bottle or they're going to be in cooking, often in restaurants, right? Because they're inexpensive. easier to make, so they cost less to be used in mass production. So your chips, your cookies, your packaged foods, your restaurant foods, fried foods, that's what they use for these things. And just make sure you don't buy them to cook with, okay? And then read your labels for packaged and processed items. Artificial sweeteners, again, are neurotoxins. I'm talking about things that make things sugar-free. Aspartame, Splenda, NutraSweet, Sweet and Low, under the labels of Equal, or Sweet and Low is a label of the 0-calorie sugar. We, in dietetic school, we call them non-nutritive sweeteners. Non-nutritive, no nutrition, just sugar flavor. The problem with them is that they are affecting your brain. They are similar to MSG. So we don't want neurotoxins in our brain. We want a saturated, full of life, full of hydration organ for our brain so that we can have the best communication and the best processes happening for natural health. And then we have sugar, like regular sugar, beet sugar, okay? I'm not telling you not to eat beets, you guys. Everyone asks me this. Beets are great. Yellow beets, red beets, they're a vegetable. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about beet sugar. So it's still going to be sugar, but if you went and looked at cane sugar, we would not want to be consuming that, okay? That's acidic to the body. And again, we're trying to avoid an acidic environment and an inflammatory response. So sugar is also highly addictive and highly impactful in a negative way to your brain. So when you're looking at sugars, we don't want things that are artificial and show up in like Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi. That was me when I was going through IVF. I was drinking Diet Pepsi all the time. I had no idea. When I was going back to school to be a dietitian, Diet Pepsi in my class all the time while I was studying. It was the girls would have Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. The professors brought Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. It was everywhere, okay? And sugar, I'm talking about if you bake something with sugar, if you buy cupcakes, cookies, candy bars, ketchup, like anything like that that is made of added sugars, sugar syrups. Go to Starbucks. You could have sugar-free, which would be on the list for artificial sweeteners, or you could have the regular syrup sugar. Neither are health foods. Neither allow natural fertility, okay? Now, that's the list of the core foods, but let me say one more thing before I move on to the next points. Anything that you can't pronounce, anything that's on a label, in a package, it's some kind of candy, it's some kind of sweet, it's some kind of chip or, snack food. I think we understand that we're going to be needing to eat real whole foods here. So the intention of this video is more so to cover those and also the major ingredients that are in a lot of processed food and packaged foods, but it's not a complete list, right? Man makes lots of chemicals so that foods can be very sweet and tasty and addicting. And so I'm not telling you to go find some kind of chip that doesn't have one of the words that I said. I want you to make sure you're looking at ingredients that are whole and real that you can pronounce for your diet, for your life, for your health, fertility, and for your body. Now, the reason, again, I told you to avoid a lot of these foods was because of the immune system impact, because of what they would feed in your body. And even if you're like, well, I don't have a cold or I don't have a diagnosis, everyone has organisms in their body and everyone is exposed to viruses all day, every day. Do you know anyone that goes to school? Do you know anyone that goes to daycare? Do you go to an office building? Do you touch a grocery store cart? Do people sneeze around you? Do you ride in public transportation? It's everywhere. So this is why we need a very strong, healthy immune system, which we build that, and I teach this in my course, how we build a positive, strong immune system, both energetically, emotionally, because that's chemistry too, but also with food. This is just the top level, how to stop stopping it, okay? So we need to stop hurting our body and stop making our immune system have to work even harder. The other layer to this is genetically modified foods. So in the United States specifically, our GMO crop list is the foods, it's the ingredients that they like to build all of the stuff in the grocery store from, because they can make a lot of it for less money. And so when things are genetically modified, the genetic structure has been impacted, and we do not know the long-term effects of this digestively, but I recommend you look up a woman named Stephanie Seneck if you want to know more about this and you want to know more about glyphosate. The farming industry, the food industry, is trying to grow crops that are insect repellent and resistant so they can be stronger, right? They can have a better yield. And so in order to do this, they have modified the genes to be resistant. And then we have companies like Monsanto creating weed killer, Roundup, that is mass produced and directly linked to cancer. So we have a lot of problems with the food system. And that part that I just spoke of impacts you genetically, digestively, and chemically. So in order to heal things in our bodies, we need a very healthy, efficient digestive system. We need a really healthy elimination system and 7 channels of elimination. We need to remove the chemicals and toxins that are already in place, which they are if you're having fertility issues. We need to nourish our organs, especially the ones that are responsible for holding pregnancies, holding fertilities, and delivering babies, and keeping mothers well and healthy and strong in the process. And we need a healthy immune system. And so all of the foods that I talked to you about today don't do that. And they make those things hard, or they add to the problems, or they disallow toxin removal, or they disallow good digestion, or they make the immune response harder. So there's so many layers to this, you guys. And it's so when people are like, well, what do I eat? I'm like, how much time do you have? And that's why I built a course on how to heal fertility naturally with your food. Because it is more than your food. It's your entire body. It's your entire system. It's the entire way you see your health and what you decide to give yourself every day going forward. Like I said at the beginning, I don't know what you're currently doing. I don't know what your thought processes are around food right now. I don't know if you have a diagnosis related to fertility or if you have a diagnosis of any kind for your health. But I've said this before, anything that is not well within your body is a fertility issue. Bloating is a fertility issue. A sluggish gut is a fertility issue. Constipation is a fertility issue. Migraines, sorry about that, are a fertility issue. I had migraines, but the reason that migraines, just for example, are a fertility issue is because they're a heavy metal issue. And heavy metals is a toxin issue, which is a fertility issue. So everything is connected. Everything has the same root problems that we can deal with when we know all the buttons to push, how to eat, what to pull out, what to put in what quantities, in what ways, into the system. So the body, like I said at the beginning, is a system, and it will naturally flow better and better when we give it the right ingredients in the right ways. So I don't know what you guys are eating now, but I can tell you that the body feels everything. So for example, if you're eating all of the things that I talked about today and you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Take out one thing. Your body will feel immediate relief because it's one less thing it has to deal with. Take out 2 things. Take out 3. Do what you can. So I took everything out. I wasn't eating a lot of this stuff. I was a personal trainer. I was a Pilates instructor. I had my studio. I was training. So I was eating a lot of more whole foods, but I was still eating a lot of chemicals too. And wherever you land with this list right now, You get to choose what you continue to do. And I wanted to go fast because I always want to go fast. Why would we want to go slow? So the more that you take away that causes the body to have to work harder, the faster it will show you results because it's not having to work harder. It's not working on things that are making health harder. Do you get where I'm going with this? It's a tipping point. Every class I teach, every program I teach, I'm trying to explain to you guys, it's a tipping point. You want this, if you are here not getting pregnant, you need to go up this hill to the top to where it starts to slide down to where it's like, oh my God, so easy, so fast. So I was here and I got to here because I went up this hill. So the way that you're going to accelerate going up the hill is to stop putting in the things that are heavy, that are holding you down. Corn, pork, soy, eggs, gluten. They're pulling you back. Do you get where I'm going? So that you can go forward. Take them away. Take them away. And you want to go through your pantry right now. You want to go through your refrigerator right now. You want to audit your diet. Where have I been blocking my fertility unknowingly? I didn't know any of this years ago, but I'm glad I do now. And so I look at these foods as, yeah, like I could eat them. And do I ever eat a piece of popcorn? Sure. But would I, if I wanted to get pregnant tomorrow? No. It's an easy decision. This is not restriction. This is intelligence to me. And this is how I teach. Okay? It's very clear. I, for so long, couldn't figure out what was going wrong when I had all the best intentions of being a healthy girl. And so I wanted to know down to the detail how everything worked. And so I got my answers. And so it's a system. That's what I teach in Pregnant in the Kitchen. Every single aspect of this is a piece of it. What to stop consuming. It's so important. And then what to consume, why it works, how we use food to remove what's already in the way, how we use food to restore life to organs that currently are struggling so that fertility is automatic. It's natural. And not only that, you're healing things. So I didn't ovulate. That was my fertility problem, but I didn't ovulate because my organs weren't healthy. They were undernourished. And also, I had massive toxin level issues. So I had to learn how to use food to move those things safely, completely out of my system. And I didn't need supplements, and I didn't need a heavy metal cleanse or a parasite cleanse. I needed to understand how my body was already working and how every single food helped it or hurt it, made it easier or slowed it down. And I went all in on that process. And so what I learned was a way of eating foods that brought life to my body and removed the impurities, the toxins, the chemicals, the organisms that were in the way of natural, vibrant health where fertility just existed. My period came back. I started to ovulate naturally. I still ovulate naturally, and I don't have any problems on my period. I feel great. I can feel tired sometimes, but I don't it doesn't take me out. I don't have cramps. I don't have heavy bleeding or things like that. The reason I'm saying this is if you currently now have something like PCOS, hypothyroidism, endometriosis, what I learned and what I teach and how I implement food with my clients, that will resolve those things. They will not exist. They can't exist because you're creating a completely new internal environment that you purify with this kind of diet and this kind of lifestyle and this kind of perspective. It's how you see things, and it's the power you see that it has, the power that you start to see that your body always had. And like I said before, there's energetic ways and physical ways that we are constantly telling our body what to do. So if you would have told me all those years ago that you are telling your body to stay in the state of infertility, I would have been like, you're crazy. No way. But I was 1000%, both with my mind and my actions. You cannot outcreate your state. Okay. So when you're in the state of mind of this is hard, it's not working, I'm not getting pregnant, you will be led to take actions and eat foods and do things that keep you right there. And so that's why that defining moment was so important for me, where I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't keep doing IVF. It's not getting me anywhere, and I'm feeling worse. I felt good before, even though I had infertility. Now I have infertility and I feel really bad. And so I had to decide, this was in the past. I wasn't going to look that way anymore. I was going all in on everything real, everything natural, everything that told me my body could do it. I just had to help it help me. I've left you a list of everything we talked about, the foods where these ingredients hide out in, what to look for, what to be aware of, what to look for in your fridge, your pantry, and in the grocery stores. So this is your first step. You can start immediately removing these things, and your body will immediately have increased health, because it's not decreasing it every single minute or every choice you make with these things. And if you want to know the entire process, if you want to know how to do this from morning to night, day after day, what the root cause of your specific conditions are, even if it's unknown mystery infertility, because I was told that too, that there's answers. Every single thing that you want to know about how to fast track your fertility and get pregnant in the kitchen is in my course, Pregnant in the Kitchen. So if this is calling you, if this feels like a fit for you, if your heart is saying yes, if your gut is saying yes, and you want to know how to eat, not just so that you can restore fertility or have really fast fertility, but you want to know how to be in control of your health and own your health for the rest of your life, and to know how to feed these babies that are going to come in, then Pregnant in the Kitchen is for you. I literally created this program to be like A to Z, how to get a baby in your belly, because I didn't understand. And I thought, this is not fair that I don't know how to help my own body, when the only things I had ever learned about food were calories in, calories out. And that completely failed me on this subject. And that's why that is not health. That is not health. That is just a number. It's a number. It doesn't do anything. It's the ingredients that do everything. Food is better than medicine. Okay. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you know anyone else that needs this training, send them the link, bring them over to the community. And I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. Let me know how this lands for you. Let me know what you're going to implement right away. And I will talk to you so soon.